What's up, everybody? My name is Wreck-It Rob, and I was sitting around earlier, and I was just thinking, like, we all make mistakes in life. So I figured I would talk about mine. I figured I would talk about the 10 things that I wish that I had known before I started playing Calibria. Now, these are things that, some of which kind of carried over from Summoner's War, but a lot of them didn't, because there's a lot of things with this game that are significantly different. So the first thing that I wish I had known was you need to spend a lot more time in Calibria as opposed to other games, really learning the skills of each unit. And what that means is not just learning the skills of the units that you use a lot, but also using the skills of other units that you don't use a lot in case you encounter those and need to counter them later. You also need to be learning not just the skills that you're mainly using on your heroes, on your units. You need to be learning all of the skills. You need to be kind of understanding the kinds of builds that you can have on each unit. That way, whenever you encounter them in Spire, in Vapor, in Arena, really anywhere, you're able to come up with a successful counter for that particular build of that unit. Because unlike in Summoner's War, where, you know, if I encounter a Chandra, I'm encountering a Chandra. It's not like that in Calibria. In Calibria, if you're encountering a unit, oftentimes you could be encountering, you know, 6 separate builds of a unit, depending on how they actually have their second and third skills set up. So it's just simple things like that that you really need to kind of get into your head that you need to take a little bit more time with in Calibria. The second thing that I wish I had known when I started Calibria was Catacombs is not early games. As opposed to Summoner's War, I'm gonna say a lot of these in Summoner's War terms because that's where I came from. In Summoner's War, generally early game is you start farming all the dungeons. You know, you start out in Giants, you go to Dragons, you know, and then you just build up from there. You get your units, and then you end up getting other units from raids later on in the game. It's not really like that in Calibria. In Calibria, you actually have the ability, if you understand how to start out the game and the units to build straight from the start, you don't even have to farm Catacombs at all. You can skip Catacombs and go straight to Lair, which is one of the things that I didn't do and still kind of haunts me, because that sort of wasted about 2 months of my gameplay. So whereas I could be in the top 10 right now, I'm not, because I really started the game out wrong. The third thing, and I want to actually go in and show you guys this one, is in Arena. You need to build your totems early. And if you're like me, you don't even know this game has totems at the beginning, because I didn't realize that this button down here even existed until about a month ago. For those of you who've watched some of my videos in the past, one of which being the mushroom one, you'll know that I'm kind of blind when it comes to actually looking at things. At the moment, I don't even have contacts in, so I'm like legally blind right now. When it comes to these, for some reason, I'm very good at missing very like minute things around here. One of them that I missed was this totem, so I didn't start building my totems. You can see almost none of my totems are actually leveled up, because I didn't really start building these until about a month ago. So there's that. The fourth thing that I wish I had known when I started Calibria was, unlike in Summoner's War, where you really need to keep one copy of every hero or every monster that you get, in Calibria, you really need to keep 2 copies of every unit. After you've already built a unit, you need to keep 2 copies lying around. The first copy is in case you want to either start building a second one or sanctifying the one that you already have. Because unlike, you know, Summoner's War, Epic 7, Raid Shadow Legends, all those others, you can take a unit and you can sanctify your unit in Calibria once it's been maxed out to level 40. In order to do that, you need another copy of that unit. So say you have 2 Nat 5s, well, you can either sanctify one or you can build 2 separate ones. This second copy that you should be keeping around is in case of crafting events. This is something that is actually going on right now, something that's kind of biting me a little, because I really want to summon Arthur. The day that this video comes out, actually, Arthur is able to be summoned, and I don't have a golem lying around, so I'm not able to summon Arthur at the moment. Hopefully, by the end of the day, I'll be able to get the guild points to do it. At the moment, I'm kind of SOL with summoning Arthur. So, really keep 2 copies of every unit lying around. Don't just start feeding nat 3s just because, you know, oh, they're nat 3s, I can get them easily. Well, in a pinch, a lot of them aren't easy to get. So for those that aren't farmable, definitely keep extra copies lying around. Fifth thing I wish I had known, and this kind of once again carries over from Summoner's War, because I wasn't really too keen on doing this in Summoner's War. Don't be afraid to use your gems to refresh energy. I know this can be kind of intimidating to a lot of newer players, and it didn't affect me as much in Calibria as it did in Summoner's War. But you know, when you're first starting out the game, you're only given a certain amount of the gems, you don't really want to use them on anything, and you think, I shouldn't really refresh my energy with this, I can just wait for that to build up. If you refresh them with the gems, you can speed up your progression so much more. Like, if I had never refreshed my energy, I would still be back, I would be set back months in the game, almost to the beginning. So if you're not sitting and refreshing energy every single time, like almost every single day, sitting, refreshing gems, or refreshing energy with your gems, you're just really wasting a lot of progression that you could have already had. Like, I know some of the top players, they will go through 500-600 gems a day just on refreshing energy to farm. It's not uncommon, and it's something that you should really be doing. All right, the sixth thing I wish I had known, and once again, this is another one that kind of applies to all gacha games just in general. Before you're building something, you know, building a hero, building a team, you really need to be checking other people's builds for similar teams, similar units, because chances are someone else has already thought of one of the best ideas or the best idea. Especially now, if you're getting into the game when the game is already 6 months old, someone has probably already figured out what you think you're attempting to figure out, or what you're kind of going towards. If you're a newer player, especially when some of these players have been playing games like this for, you know, 8, 10, 12 years, they're probably going to have a better idea of how to do something than you are. So it's not a bad thing to go in and just, you know, check up on some YouTube videos, check some other people's builds for certain units, see if someone has a guide for how to use a unit. Doing that will help you a lot and kind of give you a little bit better idea about how you can guide your build of a unit or build of a team, for catacombs, for lair, just a unit in general, for arena, really anything. The seventh thing I wish I had known, and this is something that I had already figured out in Summoner's War, but that I did a little bit of in Calibria. Do not feed any nat 4s or nat 5s for food, or LD 3 stars, really any LDs. Don't feed all of your LDs as food to something. This isn't as big of a problem in Calibria as it is in Summoner's War, Epic 7 Raid, because the summoning rates are a lot better in Calibria, but the problem is these are still some of the rarest units you can find in the game. Even LD 3 stars, well, yes, their summoning rate is the same as, you know, a mystical summon unit. The drop rate of an LD scroll is so much lower that your chances of getting that unit back are pretty low for a while. And as for LD 4s and 5s, once again, this kind of goes into what I said a little bit earlier. You might want to keep one around for sanctifying, and you might need one for a crafting event. So it's always good to just not feed them as food and just use skill cats. Or if you have a ton of them laying around, by all means, use a couple for skill ups. Don't use all of them. Eighth thing I wish I'd known, which has only become prevalent to me very recently, actually only in a couple of weeks. Sometimes sanctifying isn't the correct thing you should be doing with that spare unit. Recently I had my summons done by Spaceballs, and one of the units that he pulled for me was a Spider Queen. I had already built a Spider Queen, and I asked him in advance if I should be sanctifying or building another one, because I know he runs a team where he has 2, 3 Spider Queens. He just has a ton of them, and he uses all of them, oftentimes in the same team. And I asked him, you know, what should I be doing? How should I be going about this? Should I sanctify? Should I build another one? And he said, build another one. Whereas I was kind of thinking more on the sanctifying side. Before you automatically go with using that one last copy of the unit that you have for sanctifying, ask around, see if the better option would be to just build a second one of that unit. Because I know, for example, in World Boss, a lot of times it's better to just build a ton of the same type of unit, like Shield Guardians and Holy Swordsman. It's good to just build a ton of them, especially at the beginning, because if you have 4 Holy Swordsmen lying around, that's 4 units for a back row in your layer team that you can have. As opposed to if you sanctify them, that's only 2, and then you got to fill 2 other spots. So ask around before you start sanctifying with your last copy of a certain unit. The 9th thing I wish I had known is you don't need good units to clear dungeons. And this is something that I hear a lot from beginner players who are newer to gacha games. They think that the only way that you're able to beat, the 10th level of Catacomb, 12th level of Colossus now, or the lair even, is you need a whole bunch of crazy nat 5s to get you to beat it. And that's just not true. One of my recent videos I did, I used a 1-star in my lair team, and it actually sped my team up a little bit. You don't need some ridiculous units in order to beat something. At the end of the day, what these games boil down to is just how good you are at strategizing, how much you actually are willing to invest time in these games, and just if you're willing to ask other people for help. I can take a group of 2-3 stars into the lair and probably have faster times than a lot of newer players, even if I'm not using my best runes, just simply because I understand how to strategize with the units that I have a little bit better. I'm actually currently doing an account in which I'm not using any types of mystical scrolls. Pretty much all the units I'm getting are from unknown scrolls. So with that account, I'm forced to build a lair team out of some of the lower tiers of units. I'm like purposefully giving myself a handicap. Even with that handicap, I'll still probably be able to build a lair team faster than a lot of other players, simply because I understand the amount of time it takes to actually build a good lair team, as well as I already kind of understand how to strategize with a lot of these units in order to build what I really need. I hope that makes sense, but the core principle is you don't need the best units, you don't need crazy nat 5s in order to do a job that you can accomplish with 2 and 3 star units. And the 10th thing I wish I'd known is that it's not bad to just ask questions. Ask questions in Discord, Facebook groups, YouTube comments, Twitch streams. There are creators and just players in general all over the place that are willing to answer questions and to help you. I'm one of them. I get a lot of messages each day from Facebook groups, from the Discord, with people who just want to know a little bit more, want to know how I would approach a certain thing with their units. In the past couple of weeks, I've done 3 separate account takeovers for people. One of the accounts I was able to build a lair team on. The other 2, I was able to put them in the right direction to building one and setting them in the correct direction of actually progressing further in the game. On top of that, there are other creators who also do account takeovers, reruns. A couple of them do it on YouTube, some do it on Twitch. There's other people just in the Discord that are able to sit and answer your questions. If you throw a question into lobby, someone will answer it pretty quickly. There's also a Discord channel for each different section depending on what you're really needing your question answered about. And just in Facebook groups in general, I'll throw a message in there and I'll get 50 replies on it. It's really not bad to ask for help, and it's one of the things that stopped me from growing a lot at the beginning. I know I didn't really go on any other YouTube videos or Twitch streams. I wasn't even in the Discord until about 2 months ago. And I didn't start watching any other streamers or content until probably 2 months even after I started doing my own content. So definitely asking questions, seeking help, seeking more knowledge than you already have is one of the best pieces of advice that I can give to people. Let me know down in the comments if any of you have made some of the same mistakes I have. All of these mistakes I've made over the course of about 2 years playing gacha games between Calibria and Summoner's War. I'd love to know how many of you made the same mistakes. If you made any other ones, throw them down in the comments. If you have a good one that I kind of missed, I'll probably pin it to the top. And just in general, I try to reply to every comment, so feel free to just chat with me in the comments about it. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please do me a favor and wreck the like button as well as the subscribe button down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.